This is The Crying of Lot 49 by Thomas Pynchon. First of all, the spoiler-free section. It's a sort of weird book. The story is very 1960s. It was entertaining throughout. It is a weird book, so don't expect it. Don't go into it expecting a straightforward narrative where someone's done something and that leads to something else. It's a bit more mysterious, it's a bit confusing. One mystery uncovers another, and then that leads into something else, and it all is a bit baffling. That being said, I would recommend it if you want something a little bit weird, a little bit unusual. I would say this is the ticket. Now on to my thoughts about the book, and this won't quite make sense unless you've read it, but nevertheless. Transporting Greco-Roman ruins, or indeed remains, to an artificial lake in California makes about as much sense as transposing ancient European politics to 1960s America. It's absolutely nonsensical. Those people didn't live there or die there. Their lives have absolutely no connection with that land. The transportation of a message somehow decontextualizes it, like randomly changing a line in a play or removing a postage stamp from an envelope. You just can't see what it all means. This decontextualization happened to Oedipus herself, the protagonist. So she went to an culturally unfamiliar modern university campus. Her way of being, who she is as a person, don't make sense when you place her in this alien environment. And equally, the environment doesn't make sense to her. I think it would have benefited the story to expand upon this more, but nevertheless, it is a noticeable theme in the book. And that's what I feel is the strongest underlying term to the book, this idea of decontextualization. Now, when you decontextualize something, what does that mean? Well, the continuity is lost. It's like finding a fossil and removing it from its place buried in the earth. Now, that makes the process of archaeology essentially impossible, assuming you don't make proper notes about where you found it. In the analysis of such misplaced items, you find yourself able to identify certain information. For example, the origin, sometimes you can work out, and even the later adoption, but you've got no idea about the middle period. Now let's take a postage stamp as an example. The stamp was printed at a known place and marked as such in a country, period in time, etc., etc. Now I can find all that information. Someone then buys that stamp, puts it on an envelope, uses it to send a letter, for example, and then years later someone finds that envelope, removes it, and pastes it into a book with a collection. It's very easy on finding that stamp to see the collection it's in and realize whose book it is, for example, and you can find out when it was made, when it was printed, all that kind of information. But who sent that letter? What was the message? That is lost. That is the effect of this decontextualization. This process is mirrored by Oedipus having to go back to Jacobean plays to try and understand present-day events, which are seemingly related in name only. As I said about the stamp collection, I can tell you where and when the stamps were printed and who owns the collection now, but I can't tell you who peeled the stamp off the envelope, when, or why. Somehow, the meaning of the stamp, its actual meaning, how it was used to convey information, to convey a message, or indeed a package, has been sidelined for another purpose, that being the pure aesthetic appreciation. And that's a bit like looking at a familiar object from a different angle and not being able to immediately recognize it, which is sort of what postmodern novels feel like in general. Excuse me. Now, this idea of strangeness and these strange angles and familiar things not appearing as they should relates to the consumption of LSD, which of course is very important in the 60s, and indeed it occurs in the novel. The idea that you're using LSD to clear your mind is absurd on its face, and falling into paranoid delusions puts you in a sort of no-win situation. Those are my interpretations of the underlying themes that Pynchon was trying to embed in the work, but let's also try a more straightforward plot analysis. The events of the story, in my estimation, were staged to traffic Oedipa into the auction room. And at the end of the book, and this is a massive spoiler, she's in an auction room and the door is locked, ellipsis, the end. That's a potentially lethal situation. And this trafficking occurs by mentally destabilizing her and getting her accustomed to taking progressively bigger risks as the plot progresses. So at one point she wanders into an unknown apartment with two male strangers, which is essentially suicidal. And then earlier she allows herself to drive drunk, and she just feels that she's not going to have an accident because she has this aura around her, which is just utter nonsense. So it's as if she's been psychologically primed to take greater and greater risks. Maybe the entire plot is a conspiracy to traffic Oedipa by mentally destabilizing her and getting her to willingly place herself in these dangerous situations without fear. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas in 2025, or whenever you're watching this. Goodbye.